Are you frustrated with online dating? Confused by all the new apps and fancy dating sites? Do you find yourself choosing the wrong person again and again? Well, studies show that hiring a dating coach can maximize your online dating experience. So no worries, I've got you. And I've created a virtual course called Doing Dating Right. It's a 5-video series that you can complete at your own pace in your own space, right at home. How to write your online dating bio, pick that perfect picture, and so much more. Want more info? Go to my website at jenniferhurwitz.com. Again, it's jenniferhurwitz.com. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, and I'm your host every Tuesday and now every Friday, because I do a Just Jen episode on Friday and then I do a real one. I say a real one on Tuesdays. So if you're watching today, you can see that I have Vicki. I never say your last name right.
Volweiler.
I knew it. Volweiler. I was gonna try.
Yes, Vicki Vollweiler.
I always call you Vicki V. I'm like, I have Vicki V here today. We're talking about all things college, because here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. When this episode airs, I will have dropped my kid off at Syracuse. I will have been crying hysterically. I probably have recovered by now because it's the end of September. Yeah, that's when this is going up. And so I'm all in the college mode. And now I have another kid that's going to college. And Vicki helped me last year with Jonah, because I'm going to toot my own horn thanks to Vicki. He got scholarship money. And everyone said, oh, no, my kid's not getting scholarship money. He'll never get it. I'm not filling out the FAFSA form. And Vicki said, Jennifer, fill out the FAFSA form, do what you have to do. And I'm like, I called my ex-husband, my husband. I said, Mark, Vicki says this. And we did. And Jonah got scholarship money. So Vicki's back. And I very rarely have repeatees on my show, but because I love Vicki and I love what you do, and I think you're so important, because people need to do what's smart for their kids for college to get money. And I had no idea what to do. And I think that whether you're divorced, whether you're married, whether you're separated, I don't know. I have no idea. So that's why you're here today. Thanks for being here. And you also own College Financial Prep.
Yes.
Okay. So Vicki, I'm going to let you talk and I'm going to shut up, but go from the beginning. Tell us how you started this, how it all came to be, and then you'll tell us what to do.
Well, I'll tell you a little about me personally.
Please.
So I'm a divorced mom. I have, one child that's now in graduate school and another one still in middle school. So, I've gone through all the whole process, on a personal level, besides having a business that focuses on helping parents save money on the cost of college for their children. Most of my clients are divorced and separated. Some are widowed, some are married, some are remarried. It runs the gamut. But yeah, there are definitely special things to consider depending on the makeup of your household.
Right. I wasn't even thinking about it, because, I'm just like, oh, okay. But it's true. Like what are the different things? Like, I know that you have to do, it's completely different if you're married, if you're not, like, right. All the different forms.
Not completely different. Okay. So say before college, even when you're putting together the college list, even for your son coming up right now, you may want to think about what schools you're applying to. And depending on who the two parents are, and if the parents are, married, remarried, or what's going on in your household, selecting colleges to apply to that are going to be more beneficial to you financially. Right. Sometimes it may be more beneficial to apply to a school that only requires a FAFSA form, whereas other schools, will require a CSS profile too. So, you can be strategic up front by picking what schools require what.
Okay, so now tell me, because I'm going to play dumb, because of course I have no clue, but I probably am. So the FAFSA is one person fills out the FAFSA, but the CSS is for
not
private
always.
Schools?
Okay, so it's mostly for private schools. There are a couple of public universities, and some of the schools will require both parents. Some of the schools do not. So yeah, it's really being strategic in terms of where to apply. But really, being strategic up front before you even send out any college applications is like a huge step in figuring out how to save money.
So what do you recommend? Like, I mean, where do you look? Where do you start? Like, I don't even know what being strategic means. How do you, I guess, what do I do?
I guess it's considering, say the parents are apart for whatever reason.
Okay.
It's looking at both incomes and both sets of assets. And, does it make sense if you apply to a school that requires the CSS from both parents, what does that total look like? Like maybe you won't get it, it takes a lot to figure it out, but
so they hire you. In other words, we just call you. We call Vicki, because I'm telling you, like, you're right. It does take a lot. And I think that it's moving pieces, right, in parts. And the other thing too is then you have your kids saying, well, I want to go to such and such a school.
You do. And I know it sounds not trivial, but you know how we always hear about like how important communication is, whether it's in marriages or whatever. It's huge when it comes to college for our kids. I can't even like stress it enough. Talking to your kids about either how much you have saved up for college, how much you can contribute, going forward to college, how much you expect, if you're going to expect your child to contribute, they should know that up front. That way, at least you're working towards a common goal. You're working together on the same projects, because otherwise, May 1st is decision day, as you know. And like come the last week in April, the kid's like, kid only wants to go to, school
Right.
XYZ, and the parents sobbing because they know they can't do it.
Oh my gosh. It's like putting candy in front of a baby, right?
Right.
And then the kid is told he's going to Indiana for the whole year. And then the parents are like, we can't afford it. The kid's like, well, what am I going to do now?
Right, exactly. So, the sooner that you can have that conversation up front, and when I say sooner, I mean even like junior year. As you're starting to look at colleges, I would definitely have that conversation with the kids.
Yeah. Well, that was like, for example, like Syracuse is outrageous. It's crazy expensive. And we said to Zach, our second kid, you're not going there. Like, look, unless you have because Jonah's going to Newhouse, which is a specific school inside a college. Right. And so Zach doesn't know what he wants to do. He's like, I don't even know. I want a school of sports and I want to party. Great, Zach. You're not going to Syracuse for 75 grades. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think if your kid is specific to a school, it's everyone's family's different, right? But I think it is, I hear horror stories of these poor babies that are like, they get up to the day before and their parents are like, sorry, I can't afford it. Or we're not paying for that. I'm like, this poor kid, that's where he got in. He got accepted. You told him if he got in, he was going there, and the kid can't go.
Yeah, well, let me tell you a story. So say there's a student that knows that they want to be a teacher. Okay. So that student can go to, say, an in-house in-state public university, or they could go to a private university. Now, what are the different costs going to be between those two schools? And really, both students are going to come out from college. They're going to go and get a job in the same district, earning the same amount of money, except one may have huge student loan debt. So it's like really important to think about.
Yes. And that's the thing too, is that do you want to set your kid up to have that kind of debt for, I know people that are still paying off their debt from college.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm like, for the love, I can't even imagine, you know what I mean? Like, and I said, and then I think you need to be honest with your kids about that. Like, look, if you want to go to X, Y, and Z college, you will have student debt, and you're going to be, that's going to be your responsibility. And at that point,
to that point, the kids typically cannot take on the full boatload of student debt. Most of the time, it falls on the parents. Right. So parents need to be aware of that they're going to be taking it on.
Right. Oh my God, I can't even. And a lot of times, I know there are situations where like for example, the ex-husband or the ex-wife has said, "Oh, of course I'll split college with you. I'll split college with you." And then it gets to the point where you're signing the papers and stuff, and the one says, "I'm not paying for any of this." Then what do you do, right? Then the kid, you're sitting there with this one parent that's responsible for, how do you even, that's a whole other song and dance.
It's really, it depends on what state you live in and all of that and what's in your divorce agreements. Yep. But yeah, it's really important to consider all of that up front before the child starts applying to college.
Oh my gosh, it's just the whole thing. So, so the FAFSA is important.
The FAFSA is the government financial aid form, free application for federal student aid. And that form is required by every single college and university there is. Then some schools, mostly privates, it's about 400 colleges and universities. So it's the Syracuse, the GW, NYU, Stanford, BU, any of the big name schools, they typically require it on the CSS profile. And that one, sometimes they require one parent if, divorced or separated. Sometimes they require both parents.
Okay.
So the CSS provides a more holistic view of the family's finances to really see what they can afford.
Oh my gosh. So like if someone comes to you and they sit down and they're like, I mean, this is just what you do. Like you just put everybody in pieces and you move the pieces around and because there's a lot to this. There really is a lot.
And there's definitely ways to think about it and go about it and plan in advance. For instance, say a family's divorced, they may want to plan ahead of time, like who is the custodial parent of the child? That could really save a family a ton of money.
Sure. Oh my gosh, can you even believe? Okay, so I'm trying to think about relationship wise, because of course we're talking about it, but I feel like it's just such a crazy thing because there's so many emotions involved, right?
Definitely. Well, you have the emotions of the parents, you have the emotions of the kids, that want to go to whatever school they want to go to. And it's a hard process managing it all.
Right.
We all want to do, I'm a mom, I get it.
Yes.
We all want to do what's best for our kids, but have to think about what's best for our kids and also best for our own financial futures too.
Right.
We were talking about student loan debt. I mean, how many people can't retire or can't whatever because they have their own student loans plus their kids' student loans? I mean, it's like crazy.
Right.
And then even the kids, when they have their student loans, are they putting off getting married or being able to buy a house or what? I mean, it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot like, looking forward. Kids, I think, with their immaturity, they can't look forward. It's your job as a parent to say, look, I got you, you don't see this right now. And of course they don't want to hear that, but you know what it's going to be like. But these kids don't know. They're like, I want to go to Chilean and I don't care. It's like,
do you think that the kids have graduate school on the horizon? Because that's even more.
That was my next question. Graduate school, because that a lot of kids now, I mean, like 4 years of undergrad is like basically you need to go to grad school. So then what do you do? Is grad school the same the same FAFSA and the same C or no?
There is FAFSA and CSS. It's a little different depending on what the student is going for.
Okay.
For instance, if the student is going to medical school or law school, they're still going to look for the parents' information.
Wow.
Exactly. Otherwise, typically they look just at the students.
Okay.
But really then there's more like loans. It's
right.
not.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
Grants.
So I didn't even think about that. So there's like merit-based scholarships, which are like based on their grades.
Right. There are still merit-based scholarships for graduate school, but not like federal grants, or anything like that.
Exactly. So like based on the state and based on the school, like I know some schools, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong, but some schools will give like, if you get your ACT is higher than 30, you get X amount of whatever D. And that's merit-based. But then other schools do all schools, I'm playing dumb, do all schools give financial aid period? Or do you have to do loans? How does it?
Every school has their own different formulas. There's no set, every single school is different, just like every student is different, every, family's finances is different. Right. Every school treats everything differently. Right. So, I don't know if you've heard the term, but I don't know if, all of the listeners have heard it. EFC, expected family contribution.
Yes.
If say a family's EFC comes out to be, and I'm making this up, $15,000. One school may say, okay, it's $15,000. That's all you need to pay towards college. Another one will say, well, your EFC is $15,000. So we'll take that number and stick it in our formula. And really now you only owe, $28,000. I mean, they all do something different with it.
If co-parenting during a pandemic taught us anything, it's that you need proof your kids are safe. With alcohol abuse on the rise, many co-parents are turning to the no-nonsense system committed to providing proof, protection, and peace of mind. Soberlink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they are not drinking during parenting time. Soberlink's real-time alerts make it easy to negotiate with any party. Judges rest assured that the child is safe. Attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety, and both parents have empowerment and peace of mind. Do divorce right and trust the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology to keep your kids safe, happy, and well-adjusted. to download the guide, 5 non-negotiables for embracing a new normal that I developed with Soberlink, visit www.soberlink.com/DRR. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. Maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't, but I feel like you can answer everything because you're the guru of college. So if a kid EDs, now they have ED1, ED2, EA, whatever it is. It's like, I can't take it. But if a kid EDs, typically I've heard that their chances of getting, is it scholarship or financial aid? Which is it that they're not going to get it because the college knows that they really want them?
With early decision, they'll typically give financial aid if there is a need. Okay. They won't typically give a merit scholarship because the student is applying there. They know that the student wants to go there. It's a given, so they don't need to entice the child or the family to go there.
Right.
So typically, it's more need based for early decision. Early decision, just so everybody knows, is binding. So if your child applies early decision, you're going there. So make sure you can afford that school no matter what happens.
Welcome to our world where my son was like, this is the only school I want. We're like, oh, forgot. We're kind of, and then he gets in and we're like, okay, and you're right about that. Like, you better make sure that you can.
Right. So apply early action, all you want, but early decision, no.
Yes. Now, early action, they can apply to like all their schools early action. There's not just one, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, and there are hot schools. It's funny to me too. I don't know if you feel like this because you do this every day, but it's so funny how there are like hot schools now, like the school that everybody wants to go to.
Well, yeah, it's like the schools that you see on the bumper stickers. Like that's where everybody wants to go.
It's so crazy to me because I'd never even heard of these schools. I'm like, that wasn't big. Because, back when I was young, whatever, you went to in-state schools. Like our parents were like, you go to Michigan, you go to Michigan State. That's all you get.
Right.
And that was it. And now my kids are like, I'm looking at Oregon. I want to go to Colorado. I'm like, look you go down the street, buddy. Because it just doesn't it's crazy to me.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to give my 2 cents. It's not right. It's not wrong.
I love your 2 cents.
It's just my opinion. And I'm in New York. Yes. So whether you're going to an in-state school in New York, an out-of-state school for me in Michigan, or an out-of-state school in Oregon, they're all public universities.
Yes.
So just to have the pleasure to pay like an extra $20,000 a year for the same like state university.
I hope my husband isn't hearing this because he's going to be like, I told you, Jennifer, he doesn't need to go to Oregon. He can go to NC State.
I mean, it could be that one school is, has a better program, has better, employers coming and potential job opportunities or.
But an LS&A, if they don't know what they want to do, and they just are going to get their, LS&A and blah, blah, blah. And they want to go into like, psychology. It's like, it's all the same, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. You know what? If you know that you want to get like, you play the oboe and you want to be in the, it's like you're specific, whatever. And I don't know. I just feel but it's so much pressure for these kids.
It is. It's a ton of pressure. Very different than when we were kids. Oh, yeah. It's amazing how much, the ACTs and SATs, even though a lot of the schools are going test optional now.
Yes, thank God.
Well, no, not necessarily.
I know, because the people that do well on them deserve to have their, I know.
Well, and the schools use the test to award merit scholarships.
Yes, of course.
Right, but a lot of people think, we don't need to deal with it anymore. Yeah. But, you should. But there's a ton of pressure just from doing that.
Yeah, my kid is like, yeah. And if you have a good test taker, you should be taking these kids, but thank God for the ones who, are like, yeah. I'm like, don't worry, Zach, you'll be fine. I love it. So it's incredibly interesting to me, and then I have friends who their kids are in public school and they don't have a lot of support, in the counselor area. Right. So they hire, what are they called? Like counselors outside of like real expensive, like counseling people to help them college.
Wait. Are we talking about before they enter college or while they're in college?
No, before.
Oh, college advisors. Yeah.
Yes. College advisors, right? Outside.
Yeah. But they'll help with the applications and the essays. And I work with several. So if anybody ever needs a recommendation.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. So, but those people that's not much, they work with you.
Who, the college advisors?
Yes.
Yes. The college advisors will typically help the students with the application process, the essays, guiding the students in terms of what classes to take while they're in high school to best position them. And then I come in when it comes to the finances and working with the families. I'll also help with college selection and looking at the costs, the projected costs of the school, not the sticker price, but specific to a family. So, one household, and I'm just making this up. One household can be, a married family, 2 incomes, and the child can be whatever, an average student, applying to school XYZ. The household next door may be a single parent, 1 income. The student can be, say, a better student, perhaps, also applying to the same school, XYZ. And for each household, they may have very different numbers as to what the cost will be, both based on need and based on merit.
Isn't that crazy?
But
that's how it should be.
So when I work with families, we're looking based on that specific family and the makeup of that household and the academics and the financials and whatnot. We can project what the school will likely cost to know, should your student even apply to that school? Maybe not.
Right. But I think that, don't you think that people have to have a budget in mind?
People have to know how much they already have saved, what they can potentially contribute each year.
Okay.
And then have an understanding how much they're going to need in student loans. And, I want people to be, I'm never ever going to tell a family, no, you can't go to that school.
Okay.
But I certainly want families to be able to make informed decisions.
Absolutely. And I feel like, do you feel like there are so many, this is stupid, but so many families that aren't, that they get caught up in,
They do. There are some.
I feel like that too.
Either the kids' friends are going there, or it's the right rah-rah school. So they're looking for things outside of the typical academics, and I understand everybody wants a great social fit too, but it also has to be a good financial fit. So the family needs to keep that in mind, in my opinion.
Okay, I have one more question. So in Florida, this is just interesting to me. In Florida, they have completely different, because don't they have based on it's free or something? Not free, but what is that?
I know what you're talking about.
If they get a certain grade point.
Yeah.
Is that true? My friends are like, oh, my kid got a 3.7, it's free. I'm like, I don't really think it's free.
Yeah, I don't remember the number offhand, but yes, there is a Bright Futures type program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Which I think, why don't I move to Florida? You know what I mean? I don't understand. How long do you have to live there before making, I just think, why isn't everyone in Florida then? I'm like, that just makes, silly to me, but yeah. So I just think that everybody, I really do think what you do is just incredible. And I think that everybody should be talking to you.
Well, thank you.
Why doesn't it? I tell you this all the time.
Yes. And especially when it comes to separation and divorce.
Yes,
definitely. Because that's the one area where, it's possible for there to be a win-win between both parents. All of divorce is awful.
Awful.
But this is the one area, you're both working together for the benefit of the child, and it's possible to save money for both parents.
So why wouldn't you? Right?
Exactly.
Hello. Exactly. It's and I really feel like this is, I plug you all the time, but this is the perfect, it's just the perfect setup. Do you see a lot of people fighting?
I'll see some people certainly not wanting to work together.
Gotcha. So but you have a background in divorce. You're a divorce coach anyway.
There'll definitely be people where, and understandably so, because I'm divorced too. They don't want to share financial information with the other parent, and that's totally fine.
Right. I can see that. So you get separate.
Right. So I'll work with the, family, but yeah, I'm working with individual parents. Nothing's getting shared between the two. I keep, all the financial information totally separate.
Of course.
Yeah, basically the only thing they know is, where the kid is applying to school in terms of what's...
So you can it can be done. This can all be done. It's totally workable. You don't have to be given
Definitely.
Okay. It's amazing. I think it's great. So it's college financial prep.
Yes.
Okay. And where's the best place to find you? On LinkedIn?
Well, the website is, collegefinancialprep.com.
Sure. It'll be on my show notes.
Facebook, is facebook.com/college financial prep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can just look up Vicki Vollweiler on LinkedIn.
Vicki V. Gotta call you, Vicki V. Vicki V's coming on the show today. Vicki V. Yeah, I mean, I think you're awesome. And you know what? I just feel like this is something that, how do I say this? You know, I'm so into like, because my book, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. I feel like this is such a thing that should not be woulda, coulda. Like, I think people need to know about you because I feel like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known.
Well, what I'm doing now, actually, so there's a private Facebook group that I have that's just on Long Island, you know, and it has, you know, it's like some separated, divorced, you know, some widowed. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a workshop for some of the members for people who have younger kids that are like newly separated, like what they should be planning for, so they know in advance what to put into their divorce agreements.
I told you need to go to schools and you need to talk to like sophomores, freshmen and sophomores, because I feel like people are hesitant to they think that, they have so much time, but they really don't.
Yeah, no, but like really, I was when I got divorced, I mean, my son was older, but my daughter was only 3. I mean, people that get divorced with little ones, like they have no clue what's going to be coming with college and what to think about for their divorce agreements. Right. You know, I think it's really important.
I think so too. I think that's amazing that you're doing that because it is like one of those things like you want to kick yourself. Like, why didn't someone help me? I just feel like I'm thinking of people in my head that I want to be like, oh my God, if you just would have gone to Vicki, you know, like I feel like I want to say you're just such a moron, but I don't want to be mean. Oh God, if you just would have gone to Vicki, you would have saved. I mean, but you know, it's like woulda, coulda, shoulda. But like at the same time, you're something that is just so, it's just so necessary and needed, you know?
Yes. Thank you.
And it's easy. It's not even like it's like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. I mean, it only helps the parents in saving money and planning for the future.
Why not? It's like, hello, like let's save some money today. Well, I mean, let's skip over that. Why would you? You know what I'm saying? Just so dumb. Anyway, so I just love having you. I love you. I think you're amazing. So it's Vicki Vollweiler, and listen to me. It's Vicki V. And she's going to be, everything's going to be in my show notes, and come back next year. Let's have you every year around September.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Right before the kids go to college. I think that's amazing. And yes, and put some good karma out there for my next child because you did enough for Jonah. So let's just keep going for Zach.
Yeah, so everything's going to start now. For parents that are interested, it's going to be like happening now because FAFSA opens October 1st.
Right. So when should they should call you now? People should call you
Definitely.
now.
Definitely.
Everybody
this is the time.
If you're listening right now, I'm talking to my people. If you're listening right now and you're watching my YouTube, you need to get on this. Do not wait. Do not wait. Contact Vicki immediately. Get out your pens, whatever, and listen and go check out my show notes and get all about Vicki V. Vicki Vollweiler. It is College Financial Prep. You can find her all over the place, but in my show notes, all the links will be there. Thank you for being here today, Vicki. I adore you.
Thank you. I love being here with you. Thank you.
I think it's fun. It's easy. And you know what? Everybody you know where to find me, jenniferhurwitz.com. And I'm around. You know what? That's all there is to it. So come here next week. It's Doing Relationships Right. As usual, peace, love, and so much truth. And Vicki, thank you, honey. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.